So Donald Trump arrived to a very furious South Korea, furious at Donald Trump and his regime for kidnapping South Koreans at a battery factory that Hyundai was building in Georgia. The people in South Korea were protesting Donald Trump in Seoul. We previously showed you those videos, and the president of South Korea had made a number of powerful statements about the damage that Donald Trump had done to that nation and to its people. So Donald Trump's speech was high stakes, and he blew it. This was one of the worst speeches I've ever seen. At his speech in South Korea, Donald Trump did an imitation of Prime Minister Modi from India, and Donald Trump starts to do this bizarre impression and says, like, "No, we will fight." It's very strange. And this is what Donald Trump was doing. And the audience was very quiet. It was an audience of CEOs looking at Donald Trump with disgust, like he's a grotesque creature, if you will. Here, play this clip.
Tell you what, Prime Minister Modi is the nicest looking guy. He says, oh, and he looks like you'd like to have your father, like, he's a killer. He's tough as hell. No, we will fight. I said, whoa, this is the same man that I know.
Then Donald Trump tries to relate to the audience right there. And he talks about how doing business deals, it's a bit different than dealing with nations. And he talks about how sometimes you want to rip people's hearts out. Play this clip.
I've heard that all the time, and I never really believed it, I'll be honest. I said, if you make a great deal. The best deals are deals that work for everybody, especially when you're talking about nations. You know, when you're talking about nations, it really is a little bit different than you're doing a business deal and you want to just rip their hearts out, right? These guys know what I mean. They ripped out so many hearts. But when you have nations, it's a little bit different, you know? It's you gotta all balance out a little bit.
Then Donald Trump, I think, makes an admission that we always knew. The pump and dump Ponzi scheme like stock market that exists right now in the United States. Trump admits that his goal with everything is to just make announcements of good news to make the stock market increase. Hear it in his own words, and this is what we've always been saying at the MeidasTouch Network, that his plan is just make announcements, pump the markets up while real Americans suffer, while Americans starve, while Americans get their health care taken away, while Americans get their supplemental nutrition assistance program taken away. Here, play this clip.
When we announce good news, the stock markets are going to go up, and that's the way it should be. And we're going to really ride that very hard. And when we announce good news, we're not going to have a Fed that's going to raise interest rates because they're worried about inflation in 3 years from now or something. When we announce good news, we want the stock market to go up, not to go down. And the scourge of inflation we inherited. You know, we inherited the worst inflation ever that we've ever had. I inherited from incompetent people, and now we're down to a very low rate of inflation, 2.7%, and it's going to be a little bit lower than that. It's almost a perfect number.
So here's an example, by the way, of what he's doing. So now he's at $22 trillion, he claims, of investment and tariff collection that the United States has brought in. Remember, what was it? A week ago, he was at 17 trillion, then 18 trillion, then 20 trillion. Now he's at 22 trillion. Play this clip.
For over $18 trillion of new investments. As an example, the previous administration, in 4 years, they did less than $1 trillion. I think much less, actually, and hurt our country very badly. Who would have known? But we're going to be 18, so I figure that we'll probably be at 20 or 21, maybe even $22 trillion of investments coming into our country by the end of the first year of my second term.
And as I wrote on my social media accounts, and for my next trick, I will keep increasing the number until it's the size of the actual United States GDP, and then I will take credit for the GDP that is contracting and that was there last year. That's what he's going to do. He's going to claim the whole GDP was his, basically. He's not adding additional money at all. This is all a lie. As this, when Donald Trump says tariffs, he goes, tariffs stop inflation. If you want to stop inflation and balance the federal budget, tariffs are the way to go. tariffs are causing the inflation right now in the United States, and it's only going to get worse from here. Here, play this clip.
Those wars ended. On top of it all, tariffs now projected to reduce our deficit by $4 trillion over the next 10 years, and I think actually much more than that. That's national security, because you can't have deficits and you can't have debt all over the place, and stops inflation and strengthening the dollar and ultimately balancing our federal budget, which I think we're going to do very quickly, only because of our policy of fair tariffs.
Then can you tell me what he's even talking about right here, where Donald Trump says, in July, I proudly sounded the law? The hell's he talking about? Here, play this clip.
In July, I proudly sounded law. It was very important. I went into the archives. We looked at every possible thing you could look at, and I signed into law the largest tax cuts in American history.
And then he lies and says that he's lifted over 600,000 Americans off of food stamps. And then he says energy prices are down, gas prices are down, and grocery prices are down. Just ask yourself, is your home energy prices down? Are your grocery prices down? Are your prices down, or right now are things much less affordable than they were a year ago? Just ask yourself, who are you going to trust? Yourself or Donald Trump, who just said he's going to lie about everything basically and give you good news to pump up the markets while you suffer? Play this clip.
In 9 months, we've lifted over 600,000 Americans off food stamps. Wages for workers are rising at the fastest pace in more than 60 years. And meanwhile, energy prices are down. Gasoline prices are down. Grocery prices are down. Mortgage rates are down, despite the fact that we have an incompetent head of the Fed. He's incompetent. I call him Jerome Too Late. He's always too late. Jerome Too Late Powell. But he's out of there in another couple of months. We'll be very happy about that.
And he goes on this bizarre rant about LNG, and they're unbelievable, these LNG plants, and they look like the Empire State Building on its side. And I'm like, is that the Empire State Building? What are you talking about? Here, play this clip.
When we called the people to say that they got approved, they didn't know what the hell we were talking about. They said, you got it approved. We sort of gave up on it. I said, no, you don't have to give up. We got it approved. The other one took me a little bit longer. I didn't do as good a job. It took me 1 week. And they got approved and they got built. They're massive plants and they're doing unbelievably. They're like setting records. LNG, big, it's like the Empire State Building lying on its side. And all I know is I looked at it. I said, what kind of a building is that? All it's got is pipes going back and forth. I never saw anything like it. But whatever it is, it works. And they've been very, very successful. But
then he talks about his conversations with Mr. Toyota. Play this clip.
The car plants are moving in. Yesterday I was with Mr. Toyota in Japan, and he's just announced he's going to spend. They are going to spend $10 billion, and they're going to build new car plants, and they're going to build them in numerous states, about 6 or 7 different states.
He then says America needs to have the lowest interest rates anywhere in the world. You know this guy, when he gets rid of Jerome Powell and they start bringing the interest rates down so much, it's going to make America's inflation look like Argentina. It's going to happen. Like, we know where this heads, right? With the tariffs and then doing what he's going to do with the interest rates. It's obvious. It's obvious where this is headed. Here, play this clip.
We'll appoint somebody that we all like, because we should have the lowest interest rates of any country, because without us, there are no other countries, really. I mean, the whole thing falls apart. You know, America always had the lowest interest rates, and now we don't do that. We're like number 28. It's ridiculous. And we're a much different country than we were 2 years ago or a year ago even.
And then he says, look, we've got rid of 100,000 bureaucrats. They've left the federal payroll. So by getting rid of them, we're creating jobs. No, you're not. Jobless claims, unemployment are increasing. That is bad. Here, play this clip.
I've shrunk the size of government for the first time in many years since January. 100,000 bureaucrats have left the federal payroll. You've probably seen that. So we're creating real jobs. We're getting rid of wasteful jobs. Government spending is down. 2.5% this quarter compared to 1 year ago. It was going through the roof in the previous administration.
And then he admits that he previously lost the election. You can hear him for yourself. Let's play it.
And the campaign seemed like so long ago. And I was reading something today in one of the journals, and they said, can you believe it? 1 year ago, I was campaigning to win. Think of that. It was about a week. In a week, it'll be November 5th. And November 5th was the election. I said, can you imagine that? Here I am, president. We've done so many different things economically, militarily, peace-wise, peace through strength. And yet, 1 year ago, it's not long ago, I was campaigning. We didn't win. We were campaigning, and then we had the election, and we had a great election. And the spirit in our country is like incredible. If you compare that, we lost a lot of spirit in our country. Our country is depressed. They were very depressed, and they had a right to be.
He then says it's easy to create fake government job numbers. Play the clip.
That's a country. That's really a success. It's easy to create government jobs. I could say add a lot of people to your payrolls. I can fake up the numbers if I want, but that's not the way you build a great country. You don't do that here. And that's not the way, but it's a good way to show good numbers, I'll tell you. You just tell everybody, hire a lot of people. That's what they used to do under the Biden administration, under Barack Hussein Obama. You had, they'd say, hire a lot of people so we can make our numbers look good. I do the opposite. And we have real numbers. These are real numbers. There's truly no better time to invest in the USA.
And anytime he says he's not doing it, it means he's doing it. Do you trust any of the Bureau of Labor Statistics numbers? I don't. Even though it says inflation's at 3%, which is the highest it's been since January as it was heading down. To be clear, 3% year over year. So I want you to put it in that context too. 3% more than it was under Biden when people were complaining about, oh, it's the worst thing ever and how horrible is everything. And it was the worst, right? Now, corporate news is like, oh, I guess that's good. Do you notice how they treat this very differently? Because they crave fascism. Because they hate the American people. They just want their corporate oligarchy so they can hang out at the country club, not work. We've seen that before, okay? In authoritarian nations. Then Donald Trump says we use tariffs stupidly. Here, play this clip.
You gotta all balance out a little bit. When I announced reciprocal tariffs last April, some people thought it was wonderful, and others really weren't so sure. They weren't sure. They didn't understand tariffs because tariffs were used against us. We didn't use tariffs stupidly. And we do now.
He doesn't even know the name he doesn't know how to pronounce Azerbaijan. He goes Azerbaijan and then doesn't remember the name of doesn't know how to say Armenia. Play this clip.
We saved millions and millions of lives with all of them. Azerbaijan. If you look at just take a look at that one. That was going on for, I think, 38 years, right? And President Putin called me. He said, it's amazing. It's amazing. We couldn't get that war stopped. 38 years it went on. Millions of people killed.
And I'll just remind you all that this is what the South Korean president said before Donald Trump's arrival. Play this clip.
우리로서는 매우 불합리한 처우를 받았고
Many in Korea were surprised because our workers who went to the United States to help the US with its manufacturing renaissance received irrational treatment. This has also caused severe trauma for the workers as well, and I've heard that some workers do not want to go back. So, without taking measures to ensure the safety and rational treatment of these workers, there is a high possibility that factory construction in the US may be significantly postponed. These workers are highly trained and talented people, but the experience of being handcuffed and detained in a foreign country is not only traumatic and unbelievable for the workers, but also for their families. Unless we completely resolve this issue, I believe that they will not want to return.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe, and let's get to 6 million. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.